Hello and welcome to the Srijan Wednesday webinars. A very happy new year to all our listeners today. Hope you have an absolutely brilliant 2017. If you're joining us for the first time, this is a community initiative by Srijan Technologies where you can tune into a variety of sessions across the fields of technology, entrepreneurship, and community building. So we are kicking off this year with a hands-on session on writing Angular 1 apps in TypeScript. With us today is Kumar Abhinav, who will take us through a brief intro to TypeScript and then creating a simple app that would cover all the concepts involved. Before we begin, I would request all participants to please type in your questions that you have during the session, and we'll take them up in the last 15 minutes of the webinar. Also, please don't forget to take the conversation live on Twitter using our hashtag SrijanWW. You can share your thoughts with us by tagging us in your tweets using our handle @Srijan. So, are you ready? Let's dive in. Abhinav, over to you.
Hello guys, Abhinav here. Lanjana already introduced me, so I'll go to the slides. So what this session is all about? So we are going to learn how to write one with TypeScript. So front-end development especially had evolved very dynamically in last few months. Leave the years, every months it has evolved to such a great extent, and with the advent of frameworks, with the advent of frameworks like React and Angular2, they have almost changed the way front-end development is being done, and Angular 1 is already thought of as a very old framework, but still we can change the way we write Angular 1 code and catch up a little with the modern frameworks like Angular2 and React, especially by introducing component-based approach of coding, component-based approach of front-end development into our application development, and TypeScript, which is kind of advanced JavaScript, where JavaScript would be in some time. So we'll learn both TypeScript and Angular 1. So let me know what all questions you have. So I start with components. Components are not just a keyword in Angular 1.5 or in Angular2 and React. They are a kind of philosophy, a coding philosophy. So the approach, the idea behind components is the whole application which you develop is broken into small components which are complete in their own terms. So for example, if there is a Facebook post page for a particular post and there are comments, so the whole page is one component which has a child component of the post and the comment list and the comment form, and the comment list is again has child components as each comment being one component each. So component kind of reusable piece of code which can exist on their own and they can be used at multiple places. So we'll look into that. We'll also touch, since we do not have a lot of time, so we'll just touch what TypeScript is, and I'm sure you will appreciate the benefits. The idea behind TypeScript is to bring the kind of coding, to do the kind of coding we have been doing with a typed language, strongly typed language like Java and C++, .NET, and people who come from these languages to JavaScript especially miss the help the IDE provides. For example, when you type a dot, then you see a list of methods for that object of any class, and a lot of auto for keywords and a lot of help. So that is the idea behind TypeScript, so that we can get a lot of help from IDE, as well as we can achieve compile time checking, which means, so when you code and if you are wrong somewhere, then you see a red underline behind any code line, which normally happens when you write Java on Eclipse or NetBeans. So the idea is to go in that direction so that we save a lot of time only while writing the code, instead of writing the code and seeing the error and debugging and wasting a lot of time. So you catch a lot of errors while writing the code only, and you will see how we can do that. Cool. So to demonstrate, to explain the concepts I want to talk about, I'll build a ToDo app, a very generic, simple application, and with the help of this ToDo app, I'll try to explain the concepts. So again, ToDo app is a list of to-dos which you can mark done and also add new to-dos to the list. And build it in Angular 1 and using the component-based approach, and we'll use TypeScript. So let me demonstrate. So, the great support for TypeScript. Let me start. So first of all, I'll start writing our TypeScript code first, and then follow up with and hello.
Hello,
Hello.
hello, Abhinav, can you hear me? Hello, hello. Guys, we seem to be experiencing a slight technical difficulty, and we will be back shortly as soon as we are back in touch with Abhinav.
Hello.
Yes, Abhinav,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you too.
So
You can start off with the.
when did you lose me?
Uh,
Cool. So I'll start with the setup. Probably I was talking about the setup.
yes, you were at the setup.
Cool. So I'll first set things up so that we can start writing our TypeScript code first, and then Angular. So for that, let me create a folder, mkdir ToDo App,
Abhinav,
ToDo App.
hold on a second. It seems like what you're doing on your screen is not um, being completely visible to us.
Okay, I'll wait.
Just give me a second and maybe we can start the screen share again.
Okay.
Yes, you should be able to view.
So should I start?
Yes, please.
Cool. So I've just created a directory called ToDo App, and I'll open that in Visual Studio Code. Open.
Abhinav, we are not able to view your screen still.
Okay. So is it not moving?
It,
Is it frozen?
it is saying waiting to view your screen. So,
Okay.
yes, we can see it now.
Okay. Cool. Can you see the screen?
Can you bring up the code window? Are you there now? Yes, we can
Yeah.
see it now.
Cool. So I've just created a directory called ToDo App, and I'll open this folder. I just opened this folder in Visual Studio Code. I'll show you again how I did that. So yeah, this is an empty folder now. So start setting things up. So I'm assuming you know what is Node and what is, if you have done a little bit of JavaScript coding, you would know. But anyways, if you want to install Node, so the website you can download it from is nodejs.org. Once you download, you have two command line programs called node and npm. So I'll first do npm init -y to create my package.json. Cool. So my package.json is created. I'll install few modules using npm install --save. Watchify is for browserification, for combining multiple JavaScript files into one. So I'll show you what it precisely does. Watchify, tsify for TypeScript compilation to JavaScript. Watchify, tsify. What tsify does, it basically converts TypeScript files into JavaScript, and we will use light server to run a local server, which we can run a local server so that we can run our web app in the browser, and a module called concurrently. I'll talk about why we need it. Concurrently, yeah. It will get installed in a while. So npm is basically downloading all these modules from internet. It will take a minute or so. It is done. So it has downloaded everything into a folder called node modules. You can see concurrently browserify is something which Watchify uses. TSC5 TypeScript is being used by TSC5 and LightScript. So let's first see how we can compile TypeScript code into JavaScript, and while creating the app, I'll keep explaining the features of TypeScript. So first, let me create a script in package.json. Let's call it watch. So it will keep a watch on a file called app.ts and keep converting it into JavaScript file as we change the code. So you'll see what I mean. Watchify source slash app.ts. So TypeScript file end with the extension ts. So this file doesn't exist. There is no folder called source and there is no file in it. So I'll create it in a while. -p tsc5. So this flag will convert all the TypeScript code into JavaScript before bundling it into one. -o is output bundle.js. So the script is done. Let me create a folder, not in the node modules, here. So inside a file called app.ts. So here we can write TypeScript code. So first TypeScript construct I'll introduce you is a class. So class keyword has not been in JavaScript. So this is something they have introduced. So let's have a class. Let's call it Kelsey, and it has a function add n1, and we can provide types. We can provide types to the arguments n1 number, n2 number, and we can also provide the return type. Now you can see there is a red underline. So when you hover over it, it says it is a function which returns number, but here nothing is being returned. So if you have worked on Java or some strongly typed language in an IDE, you would know how helpful it can be. So a lot of runtime errors can be avoided while writing the code only, which saves a lot of time and effort. And you know uh, how how badly documented the errors of Angular are. So let's implement it. Return n1 plus n2. So let me run the script which I have just written on in package.json. npm run watch. So when you run npm run watch, so this command is fired. Watchify source app.sp. So it has started running. So as soon as I do, you can see a file has been created, bundle.js, which is the output, and this is the file. So class Kelsey has been converted into this code, which is basically plain JavaScript. Right? Let's use this class where Kelsey, small Kelsey equal to new Kelsey, console.log sum of 3 and 4 is Kelsey dot add 34. So as soon as I save, so it must have recompiled again, and if you can see in this this line has been automatically added. So it is constantly watching app.ts and converting it. So suppose if I want to run it, so we can create index.html. HTML head title ToDo App body script source equal to bundle.js. So if I want to run this HTML file, we can maybe directly open it in the folder and just double click it. So you can see from the console, sum of 3 and 4 is 7. Cool. So let's try to split this into multiple files. So maybe we would want to have a separate file for this, for storing this class, and we would want to use it in main file, which is app.ts. So let me create a new file, kelsey.ts. Okay. So now if I want to use app.ts, sorry, Kelsey, the class Kelsey in app.ts, there is a way you can export this, export class Kelsey, so that any file, any other file can use it by importing it. Import Kelsey, the thing which has been exported from /Kelsey, and now you can use it. So if I check bundle.js, so you can see this is Kelsey. This is the JavaScript, plain JavaScript version of that Kelsey class, and this is our main app.ts file. So this is the main entry point, and because of this import statement, the whole file has been imported here in y to bundle.js. So this still runs. So suppose if let's check if it runs. Yeah, it does. So I'll add quickly our other packages which we have installed. So light server is used. Light server is used so that whenever we save the file, we do not have to manually refresh the browser every time. So in this tab, watch is already running. So maybe here, let me start npm run server. Good. Now maybe things are cached. npm run server. So our app is now running on localhost 3000, and in the console you can see the output. Beauty is, if I just change the addition to 3 and 5 and press Command S, so on the right side the window refreshed itself, so I didn't have to go here and refresh manually. So that is why light server is there. Cool. Let's start writing more TypeScript code and Angular code. So I'll directly jump into Angular and explain the TypeScript concepts which I use, because I have limited time. I cannot focus a lot on TypeScript. So let me start using Angular. So Angular is also available as a Node module. To install it, you can use npm install Angular and @types/Angular. Why is this module required, @types/Angular? Because Angular is a plain JavaScript module, not a TypeScript module. So @types/Angular provides the interfaces for the plain JavaScript classes. I'll explain what it is when I actually install it. So let's let it get installed, and let's show you what help ID provides when we use TypeScript. For example, if I just press dot here, you can see it has one method add, and what it does, the signature of that method. So which is something which has not been there in JavaScript world. The help from ID. Yeah, so it has been installed. Cool. So let's start writing our Angular code. So in case you have worked on Angular 1 earlier, you have to mention a ng app for Angular. Ng app equal to, let's call it ToDo App. Let me write some Angular code here. So first of all, we'll have to import Angular. Since we have installed it as a npm module and we have a corresponding TypeScript interface, so the way to include modules which we install as npm, which we install through npm, is we have to import them, and to import you have to use import star as Angular from the name of the module, not the relative file path. So whatever is installed as a node module using npm, we do not have to give the relative file path, but just the name of the module. So we have Angular, and let's create the Angular top level module, Angular.module, the name of the module, and the second parameter for dependencies on other modules. So it has been created. Now let me delete classy.js, we don't need it anymore. So our module is created. So let's create our first component. So we are going to follow a component based approach. So let me tell you what I let me reiterate what I mean by that. So the whole app, the whole main application is the top level component, this red, the red bordered one, which is ToDo app, and it will have a ToDo form component, which is this blue bordered area, and a ToDo list component, which is this green bordered area. And this ToDo list will again have ToDo components, the components with purple border. So the whole page is divided into smaller parts. So what component is? So they are basically what is not already in HTML. For example, input type equal to text, in input text box is drawn, right? But there is nothing for a ToDo app, so we are going to build it and use it. So let's create our first module. Const is constant for that is a part of ES6. So again, TypeScript is a subset of ES6, and ES6 is a subset of JavaScript. So all JavaScript is a valid TypeScript, right? So TypeScript is JavaScript plus some extra syntax. So const is something which comes from ES6. That means a variable which cannot be changed. Const ToDo app equal to, so components are mentioned as an object. So there is a object definition of component, and there is a key called template. H1 ToDo app H1. Right. So a very simple component has content of H1 ToDo app. So ToDo app written as H1. ToDo app written as H1 tag. So let's see how we can display this component on our view. So first of all, we need to tell Angular that we have created a component, Angular dot module Angular dot module ToDo app dot. You can see when I press dot, you can see all the methods, right? Filter, service, directive, in case you have worked on Angular. So that is what TypeScript provides. It gives you a lot of help. The IDE starts giving you a lot of help. So the method we want is component. Look, here's a component method and some description about that method also. Component ToDo app and the component. So we have just created a component. Now it's the time to use it. So the way to use it is simply write ToDo -app. So you can see our component is rendered, ToDo app. So this is our first basic component. Here it has just a template, right? And the name of the component is ToDo a capital app, and the corresponding camel case gets converted into hyphen separated. Cool. So our first app is created. Suppose we also want to show a list of to-dos which are already there. So before that, let's have this component in a separate file. Let's have all the components in their separate files. Let's save it. You can see ToDo App is gone from the view. Let me create a separate file, ToDo App, or maybe let me create a folder first, components, and inside it I'll place ToDo app.ts and paste it. So this is the component which is declared, and I have mentioned, I've told Angular that I've created a component, and in app.ts I'll just import all the file, import that file, import dot slash components slash ToDo hyphen app, and it works fine again. Cool. So we'll start creating our components. So suppose we also want a list of to-dos, right? So along with template, there is another key. Before that, let me tell you about an interface. So the ToDo app now is a plain object. It doesn't have a type. So before that, let me talk what is an interface. So you can write where x number equal to 3, which means x is of type number, and when you assign a string into it, abc, you get an error. You can see there's a compilation error, and here also there is a red underline. So number is the built-in JavaScript type. So like built-in JavaScript types, you can also create your own types. For example, interface, say ToDo, it has a label, which is string, and done, which is boolean. So we can write something like where t1 equal to t1 of type ToDo equal to label. You can see when I type L, I get this label, right? So it knows that t1 is of type ToDo, so it will have a label bring milk, and as soon as I type D, it is saying done is of type boolean, right? Done false. So these are custom types, right? This is what an interface is. So since we included the package, we installed the package @type/Angular, so we get inbuilt types from Angular. So let me import Angular here again, star as Angular from Angular, and there is a type Angular dot I component options. So as soon as you do that, if you type T, you can see the autocomplete template. So similarly, there is a controller also. Controller needs a class. So let's create a class. Let's call it ToDo App CTRL. You can see there is a red underline that this class does not exist. Let me create it quickly. ToDo App controller, and let me define a property. ToDos is a ToDo array. ToDo is not there. We have also got an error. Let me quickly create an interface. ToDo new file. Let's call it interfaces.ts. We can also create a folder and then again different files for different interfaces, but I'll club it for just for demonstration. Export interface ToDo label string done boolean, and then import ToDo from // there is autocomplete also, so now there is no red line and there is no error, right? So it has a property ToDos, which is a ToDo array, and a constructor, and here we can set ToDos equal to an array. Since it is an array of ToDos, if I just write array of strings, so you can see there is an error. So there is a lot of errors which are caught at compile time only while writing the code. Label bring milk done false. So it has been so in this controller we have instantiated this .todos in the constructor. So in the template we'll have we can access this data. So to write multi-line string in TypeScript, they say instead of single quotes you can use backticks, which is just above the tab key on your keyboard. And again the ULLI for which we write in normal Angular code. So I hope you got some idea till here. Since we have less time, so I'll explain you the code which I have already written. Let me open that. So I've completed the ToDo app and I've saved it earlier. So let me just explain you the code. So this is a ToDo app component, and So here instead of writing ul then ng repeat over li, I have created another component called ToDo List and used it here. ToDo List, ToDo is equal to and whatever data this controller has can be accessed, that object can be accessed by this $ctl variable, $ctl.todos. And in case you have worked on directives in Angular 1, so this is how you pass functions. So I have passed a function on ToDo button click. So this is the button. So $ctl.mark done. So it does what it does. It takes the ToDo and toggles the value. So let's have a look at ToDo List component. So it has a template ul li repeat equal to ToDo in $ctl.todos. So in case you have worked on directives, so bindings is same as the scope object, scope key. So it takes ToDos as it is. So ToDos are coming from the place where it has been used, which is this ToDo List, ToDos equal to this. And on ToDo button click is also a function which we are getting from ToDo App. And here ng class is done if ToDo.done, and this is defined as .done text decoration line through. So when I click on it, there is a line over it. Okay. So this is a component which doesn't have a class. So such components are also called dumb components. They don't have an intelligence or data of their own. So the data is something which is held by the parent component, which is also called a smart component, and the methods also. So what is to be done when a button is clicked? So that method is passed to this component as well as data. So it just displays and does what it is told. In this case, it is passed a function dynamically on ToDo button click. So whatever you send on ToDo button click, it is called. Similarly, ToDo app has a ToDo form component, and ToDo form also takes on add button click. So this is the add button, and it takes a and it passes this function add ToDo label. In case you have worked on directives, you would know how a method is passed along with the argument. So when you add, it gets added. So you also to the ToDo form, you also pass what is to be done when this add button is clicked. So again, this doesn't. So this is a template, and this is a simple form. Again, ng model, and on ng submit $ctl.onAdd is called. OnAdd is a function of its own controller. So we could have written directly $ctl.onAdd button click, but we have a intermediate local function of this component, which again calls this dot on add button click label. Why this is being done? Because we also wanted an extra step of emptying this form field, this dot label equal to empty string. So after addition, we wanted this form to be empty. So I think we should have some time for questions. I'm sure this was too fast for this was too much content for a small interval, but I hope you had some things to take away. So I'll address questions now.
All right. Thank you, Abhinav, for taking us through that very detailed sessions. And I'm sure if we had more time, we would be able to go through a lot more. And I'd like to tell our audience that if you have any questions at all, any point that you didn't understand or would want some additional explanation on, now would be the time to put in your questions. And I would also like to say that you would have the session video in your inboxes by sometime tomorrow. So, Abhinav, at this point, we do not have very technical questions with us right now, but a couple of generic questions about Angular and TypeScript that we have that I would like to take up first. So,
Mhm.
first of all, as you said in the beginning, that Angular 1 would be considered very old at present, with new stuff like Angular 2 and React coming into being. So, why would you say Angular 1 is still important or relevant? Like the session is about enhancing Angular 1 code with TypeScript. So why should people still stick
Yeah,
to Angular 1?
yeah. So there are a lot of reasons for that. So not all projects are being started today. So there are projects which has been started like 3 years back, and there is already a lot of code which has been written in Angular 1.
Hmm,
So we can maybe change or modify that code,
hmm,
which will not take a lot of effort to uh, to to uh, to have it in this component style,
hmm.
and we can use TypeScript so that we can get the help from from the ID which TypeScript helps you achieve from the ID, and have a very reusable and modular kind of code using component based approach.
All right.
Also,
Next. Yeah, sure.
also if you want to move to Angular 2 from Angular 1,
Hmm,
so this can be considered as a intermediate step.
all right.
So you first move to Angular 1 with TypeScript and then to Angular 2.
All right. Another question we have here is that if you are just starting out with learning Angular or just starting out with front end and you want to explore Angular, what should you learn first? Should you start off from Angular 1, or is it all right to start off with Angular 2, or do you need one to be able to understand Angular 2?
You do not need at all to understand Angular 1 or to learn Angular 1 before you want to move to Angular 2. So both have a completely different approach. So you can just start learning Angular 2, and you can completely ignore Angular 1.
All right. Also, during the session, you mentioned or you used the function called the help ID. So,
Mhm.
can you explain a little bit more about that as to how this is very useful? Obviously, it helps when you're starting to type your code. It gives you suggestions and it is helpful in that sense. So, like any other uses that we have of it, or any other use case that you would say is like very helpful for beginners in that sense.
So if you write in TypeScript, you get a feel of writing code as you do in Java or strongly typed programming languages. So when you write your code in a typed language, so there's a compile time check. So you catch a lot of errors while writing the code only. Otherwise, when you develop Angular code in plain JavaScript, the ID doesn't warn you, and you get a error when you run the code, and you debug it, and you waste a lot of time. So that is a help. That is something some remarkable time saving which you achieve when you write code in TypeScript instead of JavaScript.
All right. Um, Also, another question that we have is that what makes TypeScript stand out? Like there are probably other things like there's ES6 and ES5 probably. So what makes TypeScript stand out for you, or what would be like one key advantage that you say TypeScript has?
So most of the time, the decision to learn a language is not taken because of its goodness or uh, because it is great. Most of the time, the decision is taken because some great framework has adopted it, or it is being up in the market. So in case of front end horizon, in case of front end world, so the front end world is moving in the direction of using ES6 and TypeScript. So, and it is great too. So you should uh, rather sooner than later you should learn ES6 or TypeScript. If you are going to work in React, then ES6, and if you are going to learn Angular 2, then you have to learn TypeScript, because Angular 2 is based on TypeScript. So sooner or later you'll have to learn it, because this is going to be there in this field, in this front-end field.
All right, great. Next up, are there any significant differences between ES6 and TypeScript?
Yes, the major difference is type. So the name TypeScript comes from this additional type thing. So ES6 is JavaScript plus classes and some extra features like fat arrow functions. And over that, the extra addition is type. So everything has a type. The functions have a return value, the return type, and the parameters have type. The variables have type. So type is the differentiating thing between ES6 and TypeScript.
All right, great. So I think I would just wait for maybe another minute to see if any more questions come up, and if any of our listeners have any questions right now, they can send them to us. Um, Apart from all of this, oh, is there any other piece of advice that you would like to give to people who are just beginning to learn Angular or TypeScript? Anything they should keep in mind, or are there any resources that they should check out before they start off with Angular
Mhm.
and TypeScript?
Uh, yes, so if you are starting off in front end, maybe you should first learn JavaScript and then move to TypeScript, because TypeScript is, or ES6, they are just syntactical sugar over JavaScript. So at the end, they compile into JavaScript, which runs in the browser. So learning the basics is something important. And resources, in terms of resources, you can refer to Udemy videos or books. For Angular 1, there's a nice book from Shyam Sheshadri, Angular.js Up and Running. For Angular 2, there's a book, NG book, so that is nice. I'm also working on creating a Udemy video, so maybe you can follow me on Twitter or to get to know somehow. So in case I release it, if I can, I will notify you. But there are a lot of good courses on Udemy which are already there, so you can learn from there. Video courses are great to learn things fast.
All right, so it looks like that was all the questions that we had for this session. And I would like to tell our audience that if you have any more questions, you can send them into webinars@srijan.net, and we can take them up with Abhinav and get you the answers. And you can also definitely follow Abhinav on Twitter, and we will make his Twitter information available to you as well. So I think with that, we have come to the end of today's session, Abhinav, and I would like to thank you for a very detailed session. And I'm pretty sure, even though it was very concise and compact, our audience had some key takeaways from it. I would also like to thank our audience for being great listeners. And before we end, I would like to mention that our next webinar is on 25th of January and is going to be on Node.js and its enterprise deployments. So with that, and I hope to see you at our next webinar. And with that, thank you for being with us today. This is Nilanjana signing off.